Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Apollas Odyssey. I'm your host, Apolla Asteria, and sorry, just waving to reconnect the camera here. I'm your host, Apolla Asteria, and tonight I have a really interesting show with Eric Dadmehr, or Eric the Healer, as he's also known as. I've known Eric for many years now, really. We've been doing conferences. I probably met him at one of my first conferences out here in LA, and been going conferences with him for years. He is a whistleblower for the FDA and different. He's done a lot of really interesting things in his life, and I think it would be interesting in this show to. I don't know why, but when I was getting his show together and getting the links together and his bio, something just came to me to title this show One Giant Leap for Mankind. And for some reason, I just have a feeling that in our conversation tonight, we're going to talk about where we're going with the future of humanity after I get into some of his past experiences. So, should be interesting. I'm really excited for this. And he's actually on the road right now at some event in Vegas, some sort of conference out there. So, maybe he'll talk a little about that. So, before I get into tonight's show, I want to remind you all to please make sure you check out my spears, because that is how I fund myself and keep myself going. And I actually just finished an amazing new collection, which I'm really excited about. It's called the Yin Yang Collection. I know I've been talking about forever, but tonight I am actually going to be posting them online right after the show tonight. I spent all day shooting them up here at my place in the hills, and I'm really excited about it. I believe, like 25 new spears made. It took like months, but it really took months because I haven't been around very much. So, for those of you who don't know what my spears are, they're basically a mix between wands and spears. They're for channeling energy. Again, they're called Shaman spears. They're all filled with magnets, crystals, sand I collect from secret places around the world, and quartz. They're all painted with crop circles that have been found around the world. And if you're looking at the video right now, what you're looking at right now is what I have left over from the Odyssey collection, which obviously isn't very much there. But I have, like I said, I'll be posting all my new spears tonight, and I'm really excited about that. Some new products that I do have on here right now on shamanspears.com are Orgonite activation daggers. Orgonite is really amazing because it basically ionizes the energy around you in your room, so around it. So it's pretty amazing stuff. Also, I have some Orgonite pyramids, which I created myself, and some Orgonite bracelets. So this is definitely the place you want to go to for Christmas shopping. Definitely come check that out. Also, of course, I have the I Believe in Humans t-shirts that has the Apollas Odyssey show logo on the back. I only had so many of those made. In fact, on them they say 1 of 30. So it shows every single one that is made is only 1 of 30. After this collection is sold out, I'll start a new collection of shirts. So it's one of a kind. And by the way, also every spear is autographed by yours truly, and they are painted with crop circles that have been found around the world. So that's pretty interesting. I have some that range from staff size all the way down to small wand size. And I actually plan on doing a show strictly on my YouTube channel tomorrow, just to share my new collection because I just want everyone to see them. I'm really excited about it. You know, I think it'd be a great way to promote my collection for holiday shopping. So I'm trying to think of something I can talk about in tomorrow's show that will kind of get into my spear collection and how they work and everything. I guess I'll just talk about them. I know I've done that before on shows, but honestly, I've been back for a while. I've been traveling a lot, so I definitely want to get some things together for myself so that I can go on more adventures, film some more stuff, and get some more shows on here strictly on my YouTube channel for you guys. And of course, it's great to be back here on Aftermath FM. Every Wednesday show, I am streaming on Aftermath FM as well as my YouTube channel and Facebook pages. So it's great to be here for the Aftermath audience. And if you're watching on any of my other platforms, please subscribe to Aftermath FM. You can download the app, and there's a lot of really amazing show hosts on the app, and it's really interesting to listen to. So definitely check that out. And it's good to see everyone in the chat tonight. It's really great to see everyone. You know, I only get to go on my YouTube channel once a week now just because I'm so busy. But like I said, I'll be back here tomorrow, probably same time tomorrow, 5 p.m. Pacific. But, you know, like I said, every Wednesday I do have a show at 5 p.m. Pacific. So make sure you're ready for that every Wednesday. I'm always here. I did skip Wednesday a couple weeks ago, but you know, that's because of the holidays. Crazy time of the year, but it's good to be here and good to see everyone tonight. All right, let's bring Eric on. Eric, how are you?
I'm excited to be on your show, Apolla. Thank you for inviting me. I'm really honored to know you for a long time and watched you grow from, you know, I think we met at first at Contact in the Desert. I saw you walking around and I kept seeing you, and I had to, you know, start conversation, and you know, I think you're really gifted and, you know, special person. So, and a researcher like me, you know, trying to search for the truth and figure out, you know, who the hell we are and what the hell's going on. So, you know, thank you.
Yeah, it's great to have you on. I really appreciate that. And you know, I know you're at a conference right now, and you know, I've met you at many conferences before. And to everyone out there, was really amazing about Eric is every time he comes to these conferences, he just comes with all these like kind of goodies he'll give to everyone, like these little healing products, and it's actually really amazing. You know, I don't know if I ever told you this, Eric, but at one conference you gave me, it was like some kind of like CBD maybe with THC, coconut oil, and then also this like stuff for your throat. It was like this like Chinese medicine stuff that
Oh
for your
yeah.
throat. And right after, I think it was like a few months later, I got severely ill, and I swear I was like one of the first people that had COVID. I kid you not. I mean, it was like a few months before it actually technically came out, but I mean, it was in the middle of this. It was really weird how it happened because I don't normally get sick like that. And you know, it's like all the same symptoms and everything. And I just got this like coconut oil stuff that you had made, that you had given me with the THC and the CBD. And then I took this like Chinese medicine throat stuff that you gave me, and I just mixed it together in this giant vat with like tea and everything, and I just drank it for like 5 days straight, and I was practically in a coma. I was like, you know, so like on one, but also it like really healed my throat and it helped me get better. So it's pretty amazing. I really appreciate
ancient Chinese secret medicine. You know, it's funny, you know, I was born in Sacramento in California, but my dad's Iranian and my mom's Norwegian, and I grew up in Iran, and I learned Farsi quickly, and so it really developed my psychic skills and communicating telepathically, trying to figure out what the hell they're saying, and learning the language quickly, actually so well that I was helping my mom teach English as a foreign language at like 7 years old, you know, helping her translate Farsi and stuff. So when I was kickboxing at the academy, Bruce Lee started with Dan Inosanto, and I would get injured, I would go downtown LA to the Chinese masters that didn't speak English. And it was no problem for me because I was used to trying to communicate, you know, with people that I don't speak the language. So I would talk to these masters or communicate with them. And I learned that loquat syrup is the key to coughing and really kicks ass of everything else. And so you had the loquat syrup in that, and the frutillary, and it's a real, thank you for trusting me on that. And then my CBD oil, you know, I made that. I cooked the marijuana, a shitload of marijuana and coconut oil for a whole day at the lowest flame it would go. And Chief Golden Light Eagle, you know, God bless his soul, he told me I had the most powerful medicine, you know. So
no way, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So you did the psychically, you were in tune, you know, just like naming the show, because I was just communicating with Captain Kirk William Shatner on Twitter before he blocked me, and because I was trying
He
to get the
blocked you?
story straight. Well, I was
What?
trying to get the story straight. You know, I met him. I was trying to get the story right for my book I'm working on, my autobiography. But, you know, I don't want to write an autobiography when I'm still living it, you know? So it's just going to be like the first chapter or whatever, or the first series. But I was trying to get a story straight of when I met him when I was working in the grocery store, and he looked like he'd been camping. And I asked him, wow, you look like you've been camping, you know, and what I understood was that, you know, his wife had left him, but he told me that was in 69 and you were 7, you were born in 62. That's how possible is that? So obviously I got the story wrong, or maybe I didn't understand what he told me, but it was my understanding but later I learned he had a truck and a camper and stuff. And I guess he was between houses or girlfriends or whatever. And I said, don't worry, you know, it's going to change. And as soon as I said that and thought positively, because we have to go with the flow and attract positive influences, in walks in this producer and says, hey, Bill, where have you been? We've been looking for you. We want to make another movie. And I think it was the whale movie that they made, because it was in the
No
80s.
way.
I was trying to figure out which one it is, you know. But he told me I was wrong and I didn't know about the wife, and, you know, so I'm not going to write about that story. But luckily you get to hear about it here. But I like that, going with the flow, because I think that we're surfers of the universe, and we have to think positively because we create the timelines, and we don't realize it. When we think negatively, we attract negative influences. So it's really important to hold that high love frequency vibration of love and compassion and forgiveness, because when you forgive others, you're forgiving yourself, and you don't want to let others push your buttons and piss you off. And you know, the best thing you can do when I'm in those situations, when people are getting mad at me talking about some crazy flat earth or whatever, you know, I tell them, you know, I'm sorry you're having a bad day, and you know, and I don't want to piss you off, and you know, I hope you feel better, and you know, and I try to joke about it and laugh about it. That's why Eric the Healer is a comedian superhero, you know, on my page. And so, but we're shaman, and I like what you've done, and to watch your spears. You know, I think I have about 5 spears. I need to go out and buy a rack so I can, you know, a display rack, so I can put them all up.
I didn't
Because they're
realize you
really
had that
amazing.
many. Wow.
Yeah, well, you gifted me one for my birthday, and then whenever I saw you, I bought one, and I watched them change. I have a couple short ones and 3 long ones, I think. So,
Yeah,
but they're really
the ones I
amazing.
have now are actually even more evolved since the last ones you've seen. So
I heard
definitely
that when you were talking
evolved over
about
the
it,
years.
because I like that orgone aspect, that you're using orgone, because you know, that's one of the topics I study, and I know how to make them more powerful, and the Wilhelm Reich systems because, you know, the sand, you know, it was expensive to go and find double-headed quartz crystals to put in the tubes with the resin and the flakes of metal. But when you get powdered metal and powdered sand, if you look at a magnifying glass, it's like 250, 300 times magnified. They're really all double pointed crystals, and it's
Yeah.
really more powerful. And I like how you go and get sand from all of the places you travel and collect it and put magnets. And I think it's wonderful. And people don't really understand or have to learn about this technology, because you're actually just, you know, getting rid of the chemtrails and attracting real clouds and making it rain. So I'm sure you're doing the
Oh,
real
making
magic.
it rain. I like that. I never thought about that, but that is true. That's what Orgonite does, and you know, basically works like Orgonite. So really appreciate that, Eric.
Oh yeah.
You know, for the audience here, I don't know if you want to get a little into your background. I mean, I don't even really know a whole lot about your background. Like, where I don't know, did you like at any point start some healing modalities, or do you just come here with this healing energy? I know you work for the FDA and have been considered a whistleblower for that. So I don't know if you want to give a general background for the
Yes,
audience here.
yes. Well, you know, I think the first time I realized I was different than everybody else. I mean, besides living in Iran and being the only blonde, you know, growing up, my sister, my mom, and I I knew at 7 years old when they went to the moon in '69 that it wasn't real what they were showing. And I was trying to tell my parents and they were laughing at me. And I said, I told them that I'd been there and know what's going on. They're not sharing what they show. And they were like, how do you know this? And, you know, they didn't believe me. And I said that I was going there and you know, basically the Nazis there and that I learned later there were the Nazi moon bases and stuff that we've now gotten rid of. But I knew I was different and I had to use what, you know, anything I could at my disposal. So, you know, I talked my nanny into, when she went to the bathhouse every Wednesday to hang out with the other nannies, I told her to find a shaman, a mystic, you know, and to come and figure out, you know, answer some questions for me that she couldn't answer. And you know, and it turned out that, you know, I had some characteristics they were looking for, you know, not that I'm anybody, I think we're all special, but I was, and then later I heard from my relatives that it was prophesied somebody in our family was going to clean up this mess, this Illuminati mess, because my family's related to these dragon bloodlines and royal families. But they said, we're not, they always told me, Eric, when you get older and understand this, we're not like them. You know, we don't, you know, do the things that they do. We just have to lay low, and so they don't kill us, you know. And then they asked me, do you think that you're the one who's going to clean this up? Because there was only a handful of us, and little by little, some of them died and got cancer, and I'm the only one left. And it's like, and I kind of secretly knew that I was kind of a superhero type of person that was going to be a policeman of the universe or whatever. But I just played stupid and laid low. And then growing up later, we came back to America in '71, and I was in the regular school system, and then my teachers told my parents that, you know, Eric's kind of you know, he's kind of slow. He's we're going to put him in the slow reader. And then my parents laughed and said, Eric teaches us, you know, he helps us, and you know, that's impossible, you know. So they went and had me tested, and they found out that I had a high IQ, and I was, my sister and I were placed into the gifted program that was just starting out. It was a pioneer gifted program called the Mentally Gifted Minded and the Rapid Learners, before it was called the GATE system, and which actually later turned out to be the Nazi MK Ultra program, because we took field trips to Stanford Research Institute and Lawrence Hall of Science, and they tested us for psychic ability. And they tried to trick me and stuff, and you know, and I wasn't going to be tricked. I knew that it was a star they were hiding. You know, they put these geometric figures and said, "What are we hiding behind this?" And I told them it was a star. They said, "Well, a star isn't one of these choices." And I said, "I know, but it's a star." And sure enough, and I think it's because I developed that part of my brain. Because when you learn a regular language, it's on one side of the brain, and when you learn other languages that you wasn't born with, it's on the other side of the brain. So it builds the bridge in between, and then your third eye becomes stronger, and so you have more psychic ability and stuff. So I was just exercising what I'd been exercising my whole life, trying to figure out, you know, what they were saying. And my mom is Norwegian, so I always understood when she spoke in Norwegian with her family, you know, what they were saying and figuring it out, you know. So I had this ability developed. So actually, when I went to college, Ingo Swann came and found me, and we went, and he tried to talk me into coming and working with them, and I didn't want to work with any, because really the Germans, Nazis, did not lose the war. They came to America and became the three-letter agencies. And if you look at Operation Paperclip and Werner von Braun, you'll see what I'm talking about. And so Ingo Swann came in and found me, and you know, they try to recruit people from the campuses always. And so I wasn't having any part of it, but he talked me into going in the golf cart with him, and he put a blindfold on. He first asked me to make sure that it was no way he could see through this blindfold. It was thick. So he put a blindfold on, and he started going really fast around with a blindfold. So everybody's looking at me at campus like, you know, who's this crazy guy riding with this blindfolded guy going really fast in a go-kart? And I was trying to figure out how he was doing it. You know, he couldn't see through. I said, okay, he must be using my eyes. Okay. And so I closed my eyes and I felt him kind of waver. And so I thought maybe he was using my eyes, but he was using his third eye too. And the Jewish guy who he came with told me that, you know, when he did it with him, he put a big concrete block where they normally went to see if he would stop, and he stopped, you know, before hitting it. So later I went to UCLA. I talked my parents into going to, you know, move down to LA, because the summer of '82 and the summer of '83, I visited LA and I had so much fun. I'd only planned on staying for a week, and I stayed the whole summer because my cousins lived by the beach, you know, on Ocean and Second. And so we were going to the beach every day, and I loved the music, KROQ 106.7. And because of music, when I made a tape and brought it back, I always had music that was 1 or 2 years ahead before it came to Sacramento, where I was living. So I was always throwing the bomb party, pool parties, and blasting this music. And so they asked me again to work for the CIA when I was in the studying French, because they told me that they always ask people in the language lab and the math lab buildings, because those are the people with the higher IQs learning advanced mathematics and other languages. And again, I said no. And I asked them, can you smoke pot in the CIA? And they said, no. Do you smoke pot? I said, yes, I do. I said, I want you to write down that the CIA wants me smoking pot, you know? So it was really funny. But since just recently, I went to Shasta this year, like 3 times. I did conferences with Bob Potter, and I could feel the Bigfoot in my head communicating telepathically. And I was like, wait, hold on. Why can't I see you? I know you're here. And they communicated to me that I smoked too much pot, that I had to stop. And my spirit guides told me last year that I didn't need it anymore, that I was already high all the time anyway. But you know how automatic cigarettes are, and you know how much we love pot. And so I kept smoking, but it just found that it made me tired. So I stopped.
I did 2 years ago too, 3 years ago.
Awesome.
Just
awesome.
cold turkey.
See? Awesome. People can't believe we went stop cold turkey.
Yeah, and it's like people get so mad that you stop, right?
They do.
Am I right? It's like, they're like, here, hit this, like at a party. I'm like, oh no, I stopped. And they're like, why would you do that?
Exactly.
What's wrong with you? Oh, you know, I smoke weed because of this and that. And it's like, yo, I don't care. I smoked weed for years. It's fine. I chose not to do it anymore. And then it's like they get so defensive. Right?
Exactly. Me too. But I remember, you know, I always shared whatever. I always had one hit shit, and I always shared with you, and we always had fun, and you know, but see, we're in tune. We're going with the flow, and we know that all these incoming activation energies from the central sun are activating us, and we're already vibrating a high frequency. I don't know if you drink coffee. I don't need coffee. I don't do Coke or in stimulants. I need something to relax me, you know. I'm full of energy always, and so we're already activated, and we vibrate a high frequency vibration. So we don't need it anymore, and it doesn't, you know, and so I did grow. And so I'm gifting, you know, I have a lot of gifts I've been giving out to friends, you know, that we know, our mutual friends. I don't want to say their names now, but just mutual friends that we have, I've been gifting to, and you know, and just giving homeless guys, you know, whatever, you know, and because it's the best medicine. It helped, you know, I looked at, you know, growing up, I saw my friends of my parents that drank, and they looked like shit. And the ones that smoked pot, they look great. And so it was a no-brainer. It was a no-brainer for me. I didn't want to look like shit, and I didn't want to be messed up with alcohol. And because my mom said, you have to choose a vice, you know, what's your vice, you know? And so, you know, and I thought about that, and you know, I didn't want to do any vice or anything, but I did enjoy it, and it was a wonderful thing. And it's a great barter item. It's a great thing to get you in free everywhere. And
definitely. Do you think that's true? Do you think everyone needs a vice? I mean, even if it's a healthy, like, you know, there's healthy addictions.
Yeah.
It's like some people, you know, you can be addicted to working out, to like reading books, you know?
Exactly. We all, let's put it in a better way. Instead of making it, negating it to a vice, let's say, we all need an escape. We all need a something to inspire us. We need something to go beyond, something that gives us that, upbeat, not a pill again. It's degenerating. You can't really talk about something that transcends and goes beyond, because you're making it more, profane instead of sacred. You want to keep it sacred and vibrate that high frequency and transmute everything. So yes, we kind of need a vice, but it's more like a escape or I like to change it into something positive. So, some amazing things happened to me. This last year, I don't know how you feel about Trump and stuff, but in 1985, I met Donald Trump. He came to me, and I didn't realize at the time. I thought I was just meeting him from the neighboring building, okay, because his lawyer had that John DeLorean. He had that DeLorean car that was in Back to the Future, and that movie came out in 1985. But what I came to realize was that wasn't Donald Trump from that timeline. He traveled back in time to find me and see what I knew back then, because I knew that there was something wrong with this picture, early on in the game, before you were born even, and yep. I knew that, the game was rigged, and that these people that were controlling my family were controlling the world, and that we had to escape this somehow. And I didn't want to be killed, and my spirit guides were telling me to lay low and not be an actor and not be famous. And because I loved, doing all these martial arts and having friends, they were always picked up for these movies. So I always stayed in the back and was an extra and just laid low, because I didn't want to put myself out there. And
that's funny. That's what I do too.
Yeah.
It's like I just want to be a working artist, but I don't really care to I don't know. It's like I feel bad for people that are celebrities. I feel bad for them.
Me too.
They're just in a trap. They can't go anywhere. They can't go to a restaurant. They can't go in a store.
Yeah.
I'm like, I love being an artist. I love acting and everything, but I don't think I would ever want to be on that level.
Yeah.
But it's like every time I show up, they always want to put me in things and bump me up.
Yeah, because you stand out, because of the way your style is, and I noticed you quickly, and you stood out, and I recognized your energy. So, and they thrive on our luge, our life force. They want to suck up our energy. So I realized, that, and actually, when we were at Contact in the Desert, I was approached by this blood drinker. She had actually lost her phone, and she said, "You have my phone, look," and she was using her other iPhone to find it, and
oh my gosh, I had the craziest experience with one of those. I don't know if it's the same person. Did she have like really long brown hair and she's kind of bigger?
Yep, okay, that's her.
You want to hear my experience with that?
That you pegged her. That is her. You would definitely know. Tell me your experience.
Okay, this is pretty crazy. This was with Emily Infinity. You
I love her.
Yeah, I love her too. So I think this was the last contact before they haven't had it in person anymore.
Before they got kicked out not after they got kicked out of Joshua Tree, but before the hotel ones, after the hotel ones.
Yeah. So, it was at the last hotel one. This happened, but I was selling my spears that year in my booth at Contact, and this woman comes over and she's like, "Oh, hey, I want to give you a reading." And so she's like talking to me, and I just felt as she was talking to me, I felt like I was getting sucked into a portal or something after a while. And like, I felt like all my energy was being drained out of me. And I'm like, what is going on? And I felt like I couldn't leave the conversation. She's like sitting behind my booth. She put all of her stuff under my table without asking me. And I'm just like, And someone kind of helped pull me out of the conversation, and then I just like left. I had to leave my booth unattended for the rest of the day because all my energy felt like sucked
I
away.
remember that day. I
And
remember
then
that day
and
because I
then
was looking for you.
yeah, and then I come back the next day. I'm sitting at my booth, and she comes over and she's like, "Oh, hey," and she's like, "Can I put my stuff under here?" And she's like trying to like get in back there. I'm like, "Oh, sorry." And I'm like looking over at my friend for like help, my friend Andre. And so she walks over and starts having this conversation. And I'm talking to my friend over here, and I look over and she's going like this. She's talking to some other people, but she has her hands pointed towards me and she's going like this, like she's casting a
Wow.
spell on me. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh, and
Holy
I
shit.
had to run away. I think I just left my booth unattended the rest of the day. I was like really
Oh.
freaked out. I'm like, dude,
Let
I
me
don't
say
know.
something very important. This is very important. Next time you feel that, cover your navel and like try to tape it. Put Band-Aid over your navel and cover it because you
Really?
need to. Yeah, really. That's how you protect yourself. Okay, you need to cover your navel because when we're astral projecting and stuff, we have a silver cord extension from our head and it connects to our navel, and that's where they suck the life force and energy out of us, and we have to cut it off and protect it. Did she talk to you about paying you to drink your blood? She had all her blood draining
No.
stuff. She
Did she
asked me
talk
if
to you about that?
yeah, she said she recognized that I was a royal bloodline, and because she was getting all high off me, and she said she wanted to pay me a lot of money to drink my blood, and I knew what that meant, and I didn't want to go there. And I said, "Oh no," and but
Oh
she
my
had her
God.
blood, she had all her phlebotomist shit, to get the blood and do it. She goes, "Oh no, I'm very good, I can do it, and it won't hurt you." And I'm going, "Oh no, I understand what you're doing, and no, you won't." So, but luckily
Wow.
I'm protected. Thank God for Archangel Michael and Raphael, and I have a gold and silver light. And my friends, tell me, like Michael Jaco was trying to get a read on me. He does that intuitive warrior stuff, and we took a nap together for an hour at the med beds, and he's like, "You definitely have some powers. I can't get a read on you." And I said, "Well, I have to be protected, to do what I do. And so, but he's wonderful. I love him, and I just saw him. I'm about to see him again soon after this interview. He's at this conference, Scott McKay, and it's this streetfightingpatriot.com is the website, and it's at Ahern Hotel in Vegas. It's only $20 to get in, and so. But my friend that I'm going with, he's a master. All these conferences and concerts, they're being attacked with this 5G. I'm a pioneer speaker about many topics, and 5G is one of them, and Mandela Effect. And when I started asking questions about flat Earth in the early, in the teens, like 2017, they became the most Googled topic, and so, I've been a pioneer. I was a whistleblower in the 90s. When I was working for the government for Small Business Administration, we were working with FEMA and the disaster relief. And, I was a good janitor guy cleaning up. I cleaned up their time sheets and stuff. And then they put me in accountable property, and I started cleaning up their file system and making an old catalog and a new. And this is where I first got a computer that actually went online. So I went online and Googled 1111. Since I was, starseed born at 11:11 p.m. And that's how I found Sai, David Farman's website, alienshift.com. And so I started helping him with his conferences and told him to put, sodium fluoride on his posters and aspartame and chemtrails on his poster. He says, "But I'm not talking about those things." I said, "I know, I don't care. Just get these words out because I want it to be out there." And he said, it worked. People came and, so we were working, and I didn't realize he's the same guy I met from the 80s at all the UFO conferences, because I was a pioneer researcher about UFOs. Because in high school, they nominated me the guy to greet the aliens when they landed. They were making fun of me and stuff. So
that was like your
now,
yearbook thing.
Yeah.
Mine was America's Next Top Model, but I
awesome.
wish my high school would have had that as a choice because that would have been cool.
Yeah, they called me Monsieur Hollywood too, Mr. Hollywood too. They knew I was going to be in Hollywood somehow, but it turned out to be Holly Weird, and so because they're not making many new movies, and a lot of people are disappearing, and we're going to find out. We're about to have the largest dump of information, with this Ghislaine Maxwell, just singing like a bird, because she's trying to save herself, and so we're learning, all these things are coming out, but basically I wanted to get back to this FEMA.
What's the story with that? You was
I was a
involved with Jesse
whistleblower.
Ventura.
I had to count all these coffin liners. I was like, what the hell are all these? I couldn't even count them. There were so many. I was like, there were miles of them, and I just counted one stack and just guesstimated. I said, this is just an estimate. I can't count all these things without going there. And I didn't want to go to these empty prisons. Why do we have all these empty prisons? And what Jesse Ventura didn't share is also I had to count all these civilian inmate handbooks. What the hell is a civilian inmate handbook? And so I asked my sweet boss to ask the higher ups, and they literally machine gunned her son to death. And so at the funeral, she said, Eric, be careful, protect yourself, don't be killed, So I was in the, when I went to this secret martial art camp, I'll just say, I met all these great secret martial artists, like the people who train the Navy SEALs, instructors, and the Secret Service, and actually the Blackwater, the mercenaries and stuff were there. Okay, and I took my UFO tapes and cameras and VCRs. We were playing VHS at the time. And I was playing it for them at night and trying to get them into this UFO stuff, and they were like making fun of me. But I met Jesse Ventura there because he was a big time wrestler. And I told him about my story of what, because he asked me what I was working and doing. And I told him, and he was like amazed, and he wanted to go out with me and put this information out. And my spirit guides were telling me, lay low, So I said, no, I have to lay low. I'm not going to go out with there. And I gave him this information in 1993, and 2 years later, it took him to go out with Alex Jones and talk about it. But see, these FEMA camps that they were building, that's what they're doing and putting people in Australia, okay? And that's what they wanted to do to us here. But what's ironic is we're using them now to put them in there, okay? Because we're running out of, we need prisons to put all these people that we're catching because they're bringing down the deep state cabal. Just the people don't, the mainstream media isn't reporting it. They're not reporting what's going on at Guantanamo, Gitmo, okay? So we're going to learn about all these things that a lot of people we think are alive are dead, that they've been executed for crimes against humanity and treason and sedition. And a lot of people we think are dead are alive. I met a lot of people, that I think are still alive, like Princess Diana and Michael Jackson and maybe even Prince and Bruce Lee even. These people had to lay low, because they were being attacked by these Illuminati, and they're really wonderful people, and they were just good guys, because there's always good and bad everywhere. There's good guys in the CIA and FBI, there's good and bad people everywhere, and I'm a good guy, and I was working for the government, and then later the state. I was working for Medi-Cal and realizing it was a bunch of bullshit insurance, and then later worked for Food, Drug, and Radiation Safety, where we have the X-ray licenses and the radioactive material licenses, where I learned about all these drones that are by Lockheed Martin that are starting these fires with the direct energy weapons. And because these aren't normal fires. Normal fires don't throw cars 30 feet, 40 feet in the air and flip them and leave trees next to them alone. And, plastic play school sets are all fine because plastic is safe in the microwave, see? And so they're using.
That was crazy when that was going on the other year. I felt like, I think it was like 3 years ago, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, when there was like several of them happening at once around this area. It felt like there were fires in every direction. I went to Oregon to escape it, and then it was going on there. I came back to LA, and I remember I was on the side of the Hollywood Hills at the time, on Hollywood Hills West at that time.
I remember where you lived there.
The mountain across from the Hollywood sign, or like kind of behind the Hollywood sign, there was this fire like all the way across the mountain, like coming down over the mountain. and it looked like the apocalypse or something. I remember I was like trying to escape from all of it in Oregon. I get back to LA and there's all this smoke in the sky. And as I get up on the hill, I look out like when I was like pulled up in my driveway, and I just see the whole mountain just in flames. And I'm like, oh my gosh, is this gonna come down here? Like, am I safe here? I mean, it was really crazy. That was it. And that was during the eclipses that all that was going on. Like when the total solar eclipse happened. That was crazy.
And it is crazy. And you know, my rich relatives, my Iranian relatives bought a lot of land in Malibu. And it was like they bought a couple mountains actually, and they were going to have all these families like live in a circle of big mansions. And then all this stuff happened, and nobody wanted to go there because of the mud floods and the mudslides and the fires and whatever. And you know, but the good thing, there's always good and bad in everything. And the good thing about this pandemic was I got to weed out a lot of unaware friends that I thought were aware, you know. And it also cleaned up the skyline. You know, it made me think about when you said the smoke in the air, all that smog. I loved living in LA from 84 to 92. And I was swimming with the dolphins in the ocean, but even the Pico Kenter drain was spewing shit, and people were shitting on the beaches, and it was getting bad. Not people, homeless people. And you know, it was becoming a third world country. And I knew that it had to clean up. How are we going to clean all this up? And so this pandemic forced people not to work, and it was a lot less traffic, and the skies actually cleaned up. And you could see LA, you know, there were some nice pictures taken of it, really clear. And I really was happy about that. And so that was the good about it. And also waking up people to, you know, we needed, it's too bad it takes a disaster to bring people together, to forget who we are and help each other and what to do, you know, and because there's no such thing. Viruses have never been isolated or proven to exist. What we have is a retrovirus. It's man-made, a bioweapon. And if you go to atcc.org, you can type in all these different things they try to scare us with every election year, it turns out. They try to scare us with Zika and Ebola and SARS and, you know, and it's like, it's owned by the Rockefeller family, you know? And these were the laps I sat on as a child because my uncle was working. My uncle just died this year, Abdul Reza Ansari. He was like the Shah's right-hand man. He was a big minister and real nice guy and multi-billionaire, I'm sure. He had his own castle on his island in Paris. And he, you know, we would have parties at my other uncle's house, my great uncle, and I would meet all these dignitaries and people from around the world. And my sister would shake, you know, she'd have to curtsy, and I'd have to shake their hand and introduce ourselves, you know, that we're Eric and Shireen, you know. And later I learned some of these people named their kids after us because we're older. We were the original Eric and Shireen, you know. And so I sat on their laps, and they would pinch my butt and pinch my cheek and you know, and so I knew the evil and the stealing of energy. And I saw this growing up later and going to embassy parties in San Francisco and seeing people go upstairs and wondering what they're doing up there, and you know, and seeing young people, and you know, I knew that there's something evil going on in Hollywood, being invited to these parties, and my voice telling me not to go to these Hollywood parties. And when I did go to some parties, I would see these, you know, I have a degree in fine arts from UCLA, and they don't even get, it's so hard to get a BA that they don't, it's BS now. They don't give a BA out anymore because you need, I say it's all BS, but they, you know, I study fine arts and I study art history because that's where the secrets were preserved. I loved going to the URL. It's like the largest university research library, and I hung out there. So when I went to UCLA in '84, I graduated in '86. But I stayed there until 1992, and they came to me and said, "What are you doing here?" You know, I said, "Well, didn't my check clear? You know, what's the matter?" They go, "We can sell your spot to a freshman for twice as much, you know, and you're taking up space." And you know, they basically kicked me out and told me to come back when their you know, extension program or something, you know. So I've been a researcher like you and studying, you know, and I love how you love to read and how you read books and you know, and always are researching. And so we have that in common of being researchers and trying to figure out what is going on. And it's about to all come out. And I'm so excited and so happy because we're going to have new phone system that is a quantum phone. And we're going to have a new money system that's not fiat currency, that's actually gold-based. We're going to get money in gold bullion paid back. All our taxes, federal taxes we've ever paid, given back to us. We're about to have a massive change. And everybody, we're going to be dancing in the streets, like Michael Jaco said last night. We're going to be, he took a group of his remote viewers out and asked them to see what's happening in March. And they all said they were dancing happily. So, you know, I really feel it's going to be earlier maybe. So, you know, I think this month we're about to see some grand changes on a biblical scale. And you know, so I'm excited about this.
You know, this is really amazing to hear because it's like I hear it both ways. You know, I hear people, you know, say all this like you, and then I hear some really kind of darker things with some other people. And do you feel that there's two different timelines that are happening here? Do you think
I'm glad you brought that up because there are splits, and we do create the timelines, and those negative people are on a different timeline, and they might not be joining us. But there's that saying, where we go one, we go all, you know. So I think I like to keep it positive, and I know that we became, through studying Jetson White, like the Jetsons cartoon, Jetson White, through watching his videos, I learned a lot. I figured out the Mandela Effect more, and I figured out about the timeline changes. And
watching the Jetsons?
Jetson White, that's a YouTube channel. His name is Jetson White, and I think he's like the spiritual son of George Harrison of the Beatles, and he's just a real intuitive, aware guy. And I really loved watching his stuff, and he helped me realize how we're going to escape this matrix. And from him, I learned that we switched onto the positive timeline. You know, when they said in the post, watch the twos. So 2/22/2020, that's all twos. That's when we change to the positive timeline. And that's why we have memories of things that are different, because those timelines cease to exist. And now we're in this one because we're quantum beings and have memories of all these different timelines. But I definitely used to love playing Monopoly. And I remember the monocle on Mr. Moneybags.
Yeah, I definitely remember the monocle. That was definitely there.
Definitely. And how can everybody think the same thing, you know? And Mickey Mouse, I had a girlfriend, Vanessa Schwartz, who's an awesome, famous animator. And she was, I would watch animation at Cal Arts with like Stan Lee before he became really famous, you know, because I love this Spider-Man, you know, comic books that I bought and grew up with. And I would watch them with all the animators, famous animators and voices, Mel Blanc and, you know, all these people. And there were definitely suspenders on Mickey Mouse. That's why he has those buttons on his pants to hold the suspenders. And then Curious George had a tail. He had a big tail that was like in the shape of a question mark.
Yeah, I remember that. I definitely remember that.
And he has no tail. He never did in this timeline. How's that possible? I like the Kit Kat candy, and it had a hyphen. And I was a commercial artist and making logos and drawing diagrams. And we had, for an assignment, we had to draw our favorite candy bar. So I had to learn how to draw a hyphen, a dash in 3D. So I definitely remember it had a dash, like Milk Duds, that I liked to buy when I went to the movie theaters. And they don't have it. They don't have it in this timeline. So, and if you know your Bible, there was always a lion and the lamb. Even in Iran, they used to weave the lion and the lamb in the rugs, you know, because everything started back there, you know, and it's the wolf and the lamb. Like, what? Yeah. Wolf and the lamb? How is that possible?
You know, the one that gets to me is Queen. Oh, We Are the Champions, like Queen.
Oh,
you know, at the end, apparently they don't say
the world.
Yeah, apparently they don't do that anymore at the end.
Exactly. And there was a skit on Saturday Night Live for those four famous actors, George Clooney and Julia Roberts, and two other actors I forgot, Chris Farley maybe. And if you can look it up on Saturday Night Live, SNL, Mandela Effect, Queen song, We Are the Champions. And then that'll pop up. You watch that video because they're in the back wondering, I lost your video feed. I lost your video feed. It's okay.
I'm here, but you're glitching out on my end.
Oh, maybe me. Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm getting free internet for my friend on his stuff. But it was definitely We Are of the Champions of the World. And actually, Queen, Freddie Mercury, he was half Iranian. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Half Iranian and half French. So so I know his music and liked him. Of course he was gay, but I still loved him. Anyway, yeah, I'm glad you had the Mandela effect. You remember it too, because a lot of people say, "Oh no, you have a different memory. You're wrong." And
yeah, well, apparently we've been on the same timeline, so I think that's a good sign. So we only have about 7 minutes left or so of tonight's show. So
okay,
do you have anything to say in closing? Where do you think we're gonna go from here as a collective? Do you think that you're talking about all these amazing positive things? What is it going to take us to get there?
I think that
will be happening in the coming months.
I think that we're going to wake up as a humanity. We're all going to realize what they were trying to do to us, and whether they wake up or not, they're going to be dumped with all this information, because you can't pour it in people. They have to do the work themselves and come to these realizations. So they're going to be dumped with all this information, and they're going to come to this realization that what they had planned to do. And, because you can read the patent on the bioweapons, and you can see, what they were trying to do and control us with this 5G and digital currency they wanted us to use to shut us off. They want us to use electric cars so they can turn it off when, they want us to live in smart cities. Everything is smart, but it's stupid, and don't drink smart water. And, it's all the smart stuff's bad for you. Turn off your modems. Don't keep your phone on you. Nobody read the book that came with the phone. You're not supposed to keep it on you or use it. And we live in a radioactive world. That's why that song, I'm radioactive. We should be oil pulling, coconut oil pulling to detox the radiation. We should be taking Nation iodine. That's very important. We should be taking iodine, Nation iodine, NaScent, iodine, because then we won't absorb the radioactive iodine, because they're not telling us. Go online and look at the radioactivity of America and see where it's safe to live. We live in a radioactive state, and we really have to be careful for our thyroids. But see, this medbed technology is coming out, and it's going to help us heal everything. But see, I'm kind of worried about being a secret space program, I think, and doing the 20 and back. And I think I did the 60 and back. I don't know how much more they can regress me, because I have memories living in the 40s and being on the ships and, being nostalgic about those times and stuff. So, but anyway, it's all good, because we're superconductors, and there's going to be some kind of trumpet magnetron sound, and we're going to lift this dome, and we're going to escape this matrix. We're going to escape this. I think it's so great that this Matrix movie is coming out on the 22nd, because it's time again. It's cycling here again, and the wave is here. We're going to catch this new wave and get out of here and go back to the real non-flat Earth Tron hologram plane, because the CIA admitted this year that we live in a simulation, and it is a hologram, a holodeck, like on Star Trek, and we're going to escape this and go back to the real, like the inner Earth people, and where it's a different dimension, because UFOs are dimensional beings. They're from another time, in another space. It's not like here that we're in the trap that we're caught. They're coming back to see what the hell went wrong and getting DNA from us to correct their DNA from all the nuclear activity and stuff, the wars. So I think that we're going to be escaping this and having a beautiful, wonderful 1,000-year age of golden, enlightenment, a big, yuga, Kali Yuga.
Kali Yuga, yeah, the golden age.
The golden age of enlightenment. I think we're really about to shift, and it's going to be awesome. People are going to work together and have love and compassion. It's terrible when beautiful women want to have sex with you, and they took the jab, and you don't want to get graphene oxide or get shedded on, and it's too bad, and I'm just, people love me because I speak from my heart, and and now that I'm divorced and for the last 3 years, and it's just, I'm a priest and I'm just studying and researching and just really excited to be a part of this. Trump really time traveled, and he's doing amazing things. We talked for over an hour at that movie theater and about how we were going to kick the deep state ass. He told me he wanted to become president in '85. And I laughed. I said, it's a low level of consciousness. And he said, you're right. But then he got really serious and looked at me and he said, but we have to use these people to get where we're going. And I thought, wow. See, right after that, I went and worked for the government and the state to infiltrate and be a whistleblower and figure this shit out, because I knew that I was a good Scorpio detective, and I'm an intense Scorpio because I'm born October 28th. So I knew I would figure this out as a good detective. And I did, and I put it out there, and I laid low. My spirit guides told me it was safe to talk after 2012 happened, but they flipped it. I think this is the 2012. 2021 is when this information is all coming out, the end of the Mayan calendar, and because that was a system of 13 and 20, because we have 5. Okay, is it almost time?
Oh no! For some reason, my stand with spears just fell off my wall. It's freaked me out.
Nothing happens by chance or accident. I thought it was your alarm saying it's near the end.
I mean, we are near the end, but that was really weird what just happened there. I mean, I literally had this stand that has spears on it, like hanging on my wall, and it just like.
Well, it's a new beginning. It's a new beginning, and it's all good. And I'm very excited, and I'm looking forward to celebrate with you. And I invested in digital currency and stuff, so. We'll talk privately later and be celebrating millions together. So having fun, more fun. So thank you so much for having me. And I look forward to doing, releasing more information that I'm finding out, probably even tonight, because I really think John F. Kennedy Jr. is alive and is probably going to show up at this event. And, other things, just, I think it's really wonderful. Things are about to happen that we're going to, can't even believe, it's crazy for me to even say.
Yeah.
So.
Wow. You really blew my mind. This has been a really great show. It's actually probably been one of my favorite shows in a long time. So thank you so much for coming on here. I really appreciate it.
If you search out my interview with Carrie Cassidy and Michael Jaco, that they went viral when they came out. I wanted it to be different, and I really love you, and you're a wonderful spirit. And I knew I wanted it to make it better. So I'm sure this will go out there viral too. And I like to direct people to listen to Michelle Fielding and listen to what she released, because Michelle Fielding really hit the mark. And so that was a good interview I listened to with Nicholas Venyamin. And so they're good. He's a good guy. And so, keep your eyes open and keep your heart open and forgive people, and don't let this shit push your button and make you mad. Stay happy and think of me and a big smile, and we're going to have fun. I promise.
Well, thanks so much, Eric. I hope you enjoy your conference, and, I definitely would love to have you on again soon. So in closing, please, everyone go check out my spears at shamanspears.com. I'll have more spears up later tonight. Definitely going to have Eric back on here again soon, because this was a really awesome show. I can see everyone in the chat is kind of going off about it. So thank you so much, Eric. And thanks everyone for joining us tonight. I'll be back here again next Wednesday. I also have, I actually will be on again tomorrow at 5 p.m. because I want to share my new spirit collection with you all. So those will be posted by midnight tonight. So please watch out for that. And thanks everyone for being here tonight. Thank you, Eric, for joining us. And until next time on Apollo's Odyssey, over and out.